Hey there everyone, it's Jenna. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have a really fun high-end DIY for you all. And this DIY is awesome because it's super simple, very budget friendly, and it will help to give your space a high-end feel. And don't worry if you're not a DIYer or a crafter, this is still super easy and beginner friendly. And actually what inspired me to do this DIY were things that I had consistently seen my favorite designers do in their own spaces. So one of those things was the repetition of two vases, and I see this all the time styled on dining tables and console tables and coffee tables, and this is just utilizing the repetition design trick. Repetition is something that all designers learn about in design school, and it's just really visually pleasing to the eye. So often you'll see designers use a larger rustic vase and then a smaller one, and I've noticed a lot of my favorite designers, these vases are usually distressed or antique or vintage, and I just love the look of that because it really helps to infuse character into that space and gives the room some texture. So that's what we're going to be doing for part one of the DIY, and then part two is actually going to be a really beautiful large sculptural branch, because this is another thing that I see my favorite designers always use in their spaces. It's very clear that they just like go into the yard on the day of the photo shoot and cut down a branch, but it looks so sculptural and it really helps to make a statement, and I love the movement that it adds, and it's really pretty and striking. So they always look so pretty in the photos when the designers use them, but obviously they die very quickly and it's not a long-term solution. So I came up with this really easy idea to get that lifelike, beautiful, sculptural, nature-like branch on a more permanent and low maintenance scale. And I love using large branches in my space to create a statement. I actually recently purchased a faux branch. I found it at the West Elm outlet, and it's this beautiful large olive branch, and I love the height and movement that it adds to our living space. I styled mine on our console table and I just love it so much. It's such a beautiful focal piece and helps to add that lifelike natural greenery into my space. And large branches like that are actually really hard to find, especially ones that look realistic. And the one that I did buy is like over $100 full price. So I figured I would show you all how to achieve that look on a much more affordable scale. And it's so easy to do. So yeah, I think you guys are gonna enjoy this one. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so these were the vases that I wanted to give a rustic finish to, and they already looked a bit distressed, but I hated the coral color and I wanted to make it feel a little bit more natural and neutral. So I bought these a while ago at HomeGoods for $35 total, but to get a similar textured look, you could easily just make little dots out of air dry clay and then super glue them to thrift store vases. I just already had these on hand and I wanted to spruce them up a bit. So the first thing that I did was set out to find a spray paint color that I liked, and I ended up picking this terracotta color because I wanted the vase to feel like it was an old aged terracotta pot that had just been sitting outside somewhere aging for years. And the spray paint color is the exact color of a brand new terracotta pot, so I figured it would help to give us that base to build off of. And in hindsight, I don't know how necessary the spray paint step actually was. I probably could have done without it, but I just wanted to see that coral color go away. So now that we have fresh terracotta vases, it's time to age them using my favorite chalk paint technique. And these are my favorite paints. You can get them at Walmart. I'll link them as well as all of the materials used in this project below. But I just used two colors for this project, sandstone and truffle. And I started by mixing the two together to get a warm medium beige color. And when I do this technique, I always just use some water and a paper towel. Super easy. I just cover the vase with this paint wash, and you can see it really helps to tone down that orange color and makes the vase feel really old and distressed. It's kind of like you're adding a layer of dirt, and I love these chalk paints because they're super matte and just help to give off that earthy brown color for a more natural finish. So after the base beige coat has dried, I then go in with the darker truffle color to add some depth and dimension. I usually try to focus on putting the darker color on areas of the vase that would naturally get darker with age. So places like around the base, neck, and rim of the vase, and then just blending it out as I go. And when doing this step, I'm always careful not to cover the entire vase because you want to have patchy areas of the lighter beige color to still come through for a naturally old and chippy feel. And that's really all there is to it. A super simple aging technique using minimal supplies that will instantly help to give your vases an old rustic finish. And I feel like these look like antiques that I paid hundreds of dollars for, but instead they were an easy DIY that took me less than an hour to do. You also don't need to use matching vases like I did. They can be slightly different to help give your space a more collected feel as well. So now to add some height and finish out the look, it was time to create our rustic branch. So one of the things that can look super fake on faux greenery is the stem itself. So I thought, why not get a real branch and then just add leaves? And I feel like using a real branch is what makes this project look so realistic. So I collected a couple branches while we were out on our walks, and I definitely looked like a crazy lady carrying these huge branches, but I came across this branch with more twiggy stems, and that gave me an idea. So I ended up dropping the non-twiggy one, and I brought the stemmy one back home, and Mike helped me cut it down to the size I wanted. And because this branch had been laying on the ground for a while, I just wanted to make sure that it was free of bugs and pests. So I used this old spray bottle that I had, and then I filled it partially with water and added some bleach to it. I gave it a good shake, and then I sprayed the branch all over with the solution. And this is just going to help sanitize the branch so it's all good to bring inside my home. And while that was drying, I set out to find a good set of leaves to use. And the vision that I had for this branch was to find some leaves that were on the larger side, just like in this photo. So I found this large group of stems at home for only $8, and there were a ton of leaves to use, so I only needed to get one of these, which was great. And what I liked about this bush was that the leaves came off super easily. So once I got back home, I just removed all of the leaves, and honestly, I love the color of these, but I just wanted to take it one step further to get it super lifelike, so I decided to paint my leaves. And before heading to the store, I went on a little nature walk for inspiration, and if you notice, most leaves are pretty dynamic in color. You know, they have greens, browns, yellows, and even burgundy, and I feel like most of the green that I saw on my walk was more on the muted side, so I decided to pick up 2 shades of army green, a brown, and a burgundy acrylic paint. And again, when painting these leaves, I'm going to use some water and a sponge. This just helps to give the greens a more blotchy, natural finish. And because the paint is watered down, it kind of creates a translucent effect with the color, which gives it a more lifelike feel in my opinion. So I just started out by giving all of my leaves a base coat of just the 2 greens. And this is pretty subtle, but as you can see, it's a nice base to build off of, and it helps to tone down that original green just a little bit. And something that usually amplifies faux stems and makes them look so fake and faux is the back of the leaf. They usually lack color, and it just is a dead giveaway that it's a fake stem. So I wanted to make sure to paint both sides of the leaves, so no matter what side was showing, they would still have that lifelike effect. So once they all had their pretty green base coat and they were all dried, it was time to layer in some color and dimension. So next I just made a little paint mixture, and I wanted it to be a dark greenish brown with a hint of burgundy. And the great part is that it doesn't have to be exact. You can change the colors around as you go along, and not all leaves on a branch are uniform. So some have more brown, some are more green, and it's not an exact science. It's just kind of fun and you can play with it. And I just wanted the color to be a lot darker than the green that we had previously done, so I could layer them together and get that color variation. And as you can see, when compared to the original green leaf, how much more lifelike the blotted brown one looks. So once they're all nice and dry, you can see that they had these little holes on the stems, which made it insanely easy to just stick onto the little stems of my branch. And a little tip when styling this, I found that it was helpful to use something like bubble wrap or a little towel just to help the branch stick in the position that you want it to be in. And I love how cool just the branch looks by itself and all of the height that it helps to add to this space. So then I just went in and attached all of my leaves by sticking them onto the twigs. And you could definitely use some glue here if you wanted them to be more secure, but mine stuck on there pretty good without it, and I kind of like the idea of being able to change the leaves out for different seasons, so I didn't use glue on mine, but for reference, I didn't even use half of the leaves that were on the bush, so that thing definitely went a long way, and it could probably even make 2 branches depending on how big and full you want yours. But I absolutely love how this came out. It helps to add so much height to our dining space, which is great since we don't have a light fixture, so it's nice to have a focal focal piece that's very natural and helps to bring the feeling of the outdoors inside. And really the only part that isn't from outside is just the leaves, and I think we did a really great job at making them look super lifelike and just giving the branch a freshly cut feel. And what's great is this piece is so versatile. There are so many ways to style it. You can pop it in a large floor vase to help balance out a space. It's great styled next to a fireplace to add some interest, or in an empty corner of a room. It also looks great styled as a focal piece on somewhere like a console table or a bench. It really helps to make a statement while layering in that natural organic feeling. And the best part is that this piece looks super designer and we made it for under $15.
All right, everyone, that about wraps up this video. I hope that you enjoyed this DIY. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help to support the channel. And be sure that you're subscribed, because over in my community page, I post things like sales, restock alerts, and new arrivals at more affordable stores where you can find high-end looking decor for a more affordable price. So that's kind of what my community page is focused on. I alert you all when designer sites have sales or when there's a really good deal going on. So that is a perk of being subscribed. You can only access the community page if you are subscribed. So make sure you turn your notifications on so you can see my weekly videos. And yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for watching this one. I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous week, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.